Sahana vavatu, Sahanau bhunaktu, Sahaviryankaravavahai, Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayamudirayet. Jai Gurudev. So we'll continue where we left yesterday. We were in the 59th verse. Vishaya vinivartante niraharasya dehinaha rasavajjam rasopyasya param drishtva nivartate. For one who does not feed the senses come back to oneself, leaving the longing behind. Having seen Brahman, when the self is known, even the longing goes away. So we saw this twice over till now. Does this capacity to withdraw one's senses from the sense objects at will give the person jnana nishta? No. Even a complete fool can practice this technique. A yogi also actively engages in this discipline of withdrawing the senses, just like how a turtle withdraws its limbs. Therefore, you cannot say a person is a jnana nishta merely because he or she can withdraw the senses and sit with himself or herself. So here, the concept of the emotional value, the rasa, comes in. Because it is only a matter of suppression if you're doing that. You're not handling it from inside. So the taste lingers on. The taste, which is either the subjective or the emotional value, continues. And the example given was of the value of money. How we use money when it is used to measure success, it is the emotional value that is propping up. So you can withdraw your senses either as a viveki or as an aviveki. An aviveki just does that because someone has said that. Whereas a viveki does it out of discrimination. Because he's pursuing self-knowledge. And the difference is that a viveki will only have the subjective value, not the intellectual value. Whereas the aviveki will have both subjective as well as intellectual values. And we saw how knowledge alone removes the rasa. So in the wake of the knowledge, the rasa goes away. Even the emotional value or the subjective value goes away. And therefore, even that emotional value, that rasa, is eliminated. So knowledge in the form of clear vision, samyak darshana, has to be well established, steady and firm. May you work on gaining this vision again and again, is what is meant here. Because if you give up working for this vision, the erroneous vision you have will not go away. So people generally plan to work for clear vision only after they have fixed up everything in their lives. But it does not work that way. There is no fixing up of everything without the vision. So the pursuit is twofold: yoga, which is self mastery, and jnana, self knowledge. And we saw how removing the sense objects also does not work. The person example given of a person who goes to the mountains from Manhattan. But even though he has given up all the sense objects, he's still thinking about what is happening to his folks. So that rasa continues to be there. And another example is alcohol. You may have given it up, but the rasa will still be there. Unless you have something which is more intoxicating, something with more of a kick in it, something more profound, more beautiful, and more useful. In other words, more powerful. This is why alcoholics require prayer. Without prayer, they cannot easily get rid of the problem. An alcoholic who turns into a sober person can be a saint because he or she has mastered prayer and knows what it is all about. When an alcoholic finds something more powerful than alcohol, the rasa for alcohol within the person goes away. But again, coming back to the beginning, the opening sentence, just because the rasa has gone away does not mean that the person has jnana nishta. Again. So, although self-knowledge removes the rasa, it does not mean just because the rasa has gone away, the person has self-knowledge. The importance of acknowledging the emotional value. The need to acknowledge one's emotional values is seen in the alcoholic who thinks that he or she can stop drinking at any time and who may even advance the advantages of alcohol in terms of one's health. Of course, when you begin to take alcohol, you are still the master. You can take it or you need not take it. Sometimes you take it and other times you dismiss it. No problem. But alcohol is not an ordinary substance. It is something that takes charge of you in time so that eventually you have no power over it. It is more powerful than a Rakshasa, a demon. From here on, although you may argue that you can stop at any time, in fact, you cannot. You are no longer talking. The alcohol is talking. First, the person takes the bottle, and then after some time, the bottle calls the person. If it is 6 o'clock, the time set aside for happy hour, and the person is elsewhere, the bottle calls. Where are you? He replies, I'm here in the office working. Then the bottle says, this is not the time to be in the office. Come here. Faithfully, the person goes. Come and sit down, the bottle says. And the person sits down. Pick me up, it says. Once the bottle is in his or her hand, it says, come on, tilt. Then the person tilts every day. There was a time when he or she took the bottle. Now, the bottle takes the person. All decisions about where to go and what to do are made by the bottle, not by the person. Where then is there any question of taking alcohol being your decision? This is no longer the case. You lost this freedom a long time ago. The only way to stop drinking is to accept that you have no power over alcohol. You have to know that. The acknowledgement alone is the beginning. There is no other way. Once you acknowledge that alcohol has a power over you, there is a chance of you regaining this freedom, provided, of course, that you really decide to stop drinking. You need to acknowledge that you are not going to drink anymore. And once you stop taking alcohol, the bottles you have in your cupboard will go away. You will not want to keep them and will therefore distribute them to those who want them. But the smell of alcohol, the craving for it, will still be there in your head, which is where support groups come in. Otherwise, you may start drinking again and lose yourself totally, after which there is no chance. Only when people find themselves secure, when they know that they are everything, do the rasas lose their hold. Then the world can no longer take such people for a ride. To understand what Krishna was saying here, we need not alter the meaning of the word Vishaya to mean sense organs. It can be looked at from the perspective of sense objects also. So here the example given was just of alcohol, but that is true of any habit, any other habit that comes on and grips us, and then we lose our freedom because we are then a slave to that habit. I'm not denouncing anyone, but then drinking, even caffeine for that matter, any habit. You may have decided that in the morning when you get up, you're going to do your sadhana. But then, if you're in the habit of taking a cup of tea or coffee in the morning, that cup of tea is what is going to beckon you. Just like how in this example, the bottle took over and the bottle was deciding what his next steps, his or her next steps will be. So, similarly, it will be the cup. Please come, have me. Pour milk into the cup, make tea, drink it. So that is what is going to decide. You no longer decide because the habit has you. So all habits are like that. They bind us because it is not that they give any joy, but not having them gives us sorrow. Same thing with watching some serial on TV. It starts off saying, okay, you tell yourself, okay, I'm not going to watch. It's just for half an hour, and that half an hour, somewhere the mind gets hooked on to that, and then the next day or maybe even the same day, it is the whatever the serial beckons you, come put on the TV, put it on. So that starts directing your life. unless we have a say over it. So that is where the Dhamma aspect comes in. Just like how the turtle withdraws its limbs. So a person who has the will, capacity to withdraw his sense organs at will, he is one who is a Viveki. And he does this with awareness of the self knowledge. He's not yet reached that, he's not achieved the goal, but then he's exposed to this knowledge. And he does it out of understanding. It is not just blindly doing it, he does it out of understanding. Anyone wants to share before we go on to the next verse? So, acknowledging that you have this, that is the first that's the first step.
Hariom, here the importance of association is also so very important, like for taking away any habit. Because when you keep associating with like minded people who have the same habit, you continue with the same habit. But when you associate yourself with the people who are away from such addictions, then also it helps. I will give you my example. Like when I used to drink tea, I had my same like minded people who were fond of tea. And it was so very, to the extent that I had started labeling because she was making good tea, so she is good. She was always offering me tea, so she was good. And to the extent the relatives and my own people, I mean, that had extended that long. And now when I'm away from it, I'm able to see so clearly that that was, and the because of the association, so many times I had left and again had started. And it is not that I have disassociated with my those people who are still continuing the habit, but I have taken myself away from that, and that has helped. And that time, I the same exactly what Swamiji has written. The cups tell you, come, come. I had all fancy cups of for tea, special for Sunday, special for afternoon, special for morning. I mean, right now, I'm just laughing at my those things. But yeah, that is also there. That the kind of association you keep, that also helps you to get rid of the habits, especially when they are, as Brahmaraji rightly said, that as soon as you wake up in the morning, instead of doing the kriya, it is always like first a cup of tea. And now when we are away, then when I'm away, then I'm able to see the difference. Yeah, Hari Om.
That's the reason, Gurudev has made these groups. You see, everywhere, 1 or 2 kilometers, we have a Art of Living centers. We meet together. The Sangha, it's a sort of a Sangha. It really helps. Yeah, Belaji, I agree.
Yeah, thank you for sharing, Bila. That was really good.
Sangha really helps, but also it spoils. Many of the people got addicted only because of Sangha. Many times.
When here we talk of Sangha, it implies, correct, it depends on what Sangha it is.
Sangha, yeah, that is what
Satsanga is different from
very, very good.
Dusanga. So satsangatve nissangatvam,
Gatvam.
nissangatve nirmohatvam, nirmohatve nischalatatvam, nischalatatve jivan mukti is what Shankara says in Bhajagovindam. So the importance of satsanga is so important. The company of the truth, the company of knowledge, the company of people who are co-sadhaks, who are. So there was this question in the satsang some days ago. What is the why do you gather here every evening for satsang? What is the importance of satsang was the question. So Gurudev just ask people who come here what they experience. Sumaji is here. She's not there. Because I tried getting to the Kannada, the satsang on Sunday, but only a 3-minute clip I found, and there was no question of that paradharma there. So I wasn't able to get to that clip. Yesterday she had a question. She couldn't understand the Kannada version, but I think it's off the net. It's not there in the YouTube anymore. So first thing is what Gurudev also says, is to acknowledge that you have a problem. So half the work is done there when you realize it. Just being aware. And then you work towards it. The same thing happened to me when I gave up tea. It's almost more than 10 years now. But then I was also a slave to it, in the sense I had given up several times, but had gone back to it, thinking that is what is going to relieve me of my headache. But it was the cause. It was not very good for migraine. So finally, I had to take a decision. I said, no, I'm going to gift this to myself as a birthday gift. And it was a strong intention to get out of this tea karma. I did go through a lot of withdrawal after that. For about 5 days, I had very severe headache. But then I said, no, this time I'm going to see through this. That's it. And after that, even that craving is gone. The smell of tea is inviting, but I don't have the craving to take that sip of cup no, to sip a cup of tea anymore. I make tea for others. I prepare it for guests and people at home, but it doesn't bother me anymore. That relief and that liberated feeling is something to be is really very uplifting. And the same thing, we can extrapolate that to any of the other cravings we have. All the ragas.
I think sadhana is helping a lot, even for food. Um, I think that I have started realizing the difference between the bhojan and ahar and the khan. I mean, how important it is even for that. It is not that you have to eat less, but just enough. We have to eat for living, not living
Live to
for
eat.
yeah. So that understanding is also, I mean, very, very important. And it with sadhana, it has come very easily and very effortlessly.
Sadhana coupled with exposure to the knowledge. The combination of
Yes,
both.
absolutely. With
See,
knowledge, correct.
self mastery, yoga is important, as well as jnana. So it's a combination of both. Because it is the knowledge that gives you the awareness that all this is temporary, all this is impermanent. You know what is permanent. And this is what guides also the thought process in the mind. It refines the thought process in the mind. So we'll move on to the next verse. यततो ह्यपि कौन्तेय पुरुषस्य विपश्चितः इन्द्रियाणि प्रमाथीनि हरन्ति प्रसभं मनः. Kaunteya, O son of Kunti, he because yatataha, of the one who makes effort, api even, vipashchitaha, of the one who sees clearly, api even, purushasya, of the person, indriyani, sense organs, pramathini, very powerful, haranti, take away, prasabham, forcefully, manaha, the mind. Kaunteya, he yatatah api vipashchitah api purushasya indriyani pramathini haranti prasabham manaha. Because the powerful senses of even the person who makes effort, who sees clearly, forcefully take the mind away, O Arjuna. A person who has given up sense pursuits does not feed the sense organs. By using the will, he or she simply does not pursue sense objects. Only when the senses are with the person, meaning under his or her control, can steadiness in self knowledge be accomplished. Thus, in the beginning, the will is used to keep the senses in one's own hands. Anything that is within your control or power is called Swavasha or Atma Vasha. The word vasha meaning within one's hands. The money in your own pocket that you can spend as you wish is swavasha. If, however, your money is in the hands of someone else, it is paravasha. Naturally, you do not have the freedom to spend it as you would like. The other person must give it to you first. Thus, anything in the hands of another is called paravasha, and the one who delivers himself or herself into the hands of someone else or something is called paravasha. For example, a person who is totally overpowered by emotion or who is completely controlled by another person is paravasha. He or she has no freedom. Still, discussing how one becomes the sthita prajna, one who is steadfast in the knowledge, Krishna said that first, one's mind and senses have to be with oneself alone. Even though a person is a viveki and has certain knowledge, there is still something to be taken care of because the rasa, the taste for sense objects is still there. If these are not taken care of, the person will deliver himself or herself into the hands of raga dveshas. The word yatataha in this verse means of the person, Purusha, who is making effort. One may make effort and be a fool, murkha, but this is not the person being discussed here. The person who makes effort is one who has viveka, who sees things clearly, vipashchit. Even this person's mind is not steady, but his or her mind is not the mind of an ordinary person, but one that is in the hands of the senses and fancies. He or she is not an armchair viveki. This person has a commitment and makes efforts in order to gain firmness, nishta, in the knowledge. This then is the kind of mind that is being discussed here. I will actually go back and read the whole thing, but let me continue the train of thought. The sense organs can be turbulent, vicious, and very powerful. They can really shake you up. In this verse, Krishna told Arjuna that the sense organs can even take the mind of a Viveki away, meaning that they can take charge of his or her mind. Why? Because rasa, the taste for sense objects, is still there inside the person. As long as the rasa is there, the sense organs will continue to take charge of the person's mind. As we saw earlier, the sense organs imply the various fancies that one has because he or she still has a value for sense objects. Thus, when we say that the sense organs take the mind away, we mean that the rasas rob the person of his or her viveka. By the time the person realizes what has happened, the sense organs, meaning the rasas, have already taken him or her for a ride. The use of the word he in the verse indicates that all of this is very well known. The appetites that are there do not ask for any sanction. They forcefully, rasabham, take care of you. Therefore, what should you do? The only answer for these rasas is to gain steadiness, sthairya, in this knowledge. In the next verse, Krishna told Arjuna that this is done by contemplating upon what is. So I will just go back and read this one more time. So, yatato hyapi kaunteya purushasya vipaschitaha indriyani pramathini haranti prasabham manaha. So, because the power, I'll just read the Kaunteya hi yatataha api vipaschitaha api purushasya indriyani pramathini haranti prasabham manaha. Because the powerful senses of even the person who makes effort, who sees clearly, forcefully take the mind away, O Arjuna. A person who has given up sense pursuits does not feed the sense organs. By using the will, he or she simply does not pursue sense objects. Only when the senses are with the person, meaning under his or her control, can steadiness in self-knowledge be accomplished. Thus, in the beginning, the will is used to keep the senses in one's own hands. Anything that is within your control or power is called swavasha or atmavasha. The word vasha meaning within one's hands. The money in your own pocket that you can spend as you wish is swavasha. If, however, your money is in the hands of someone else, it is paravasha. Naturally, you do not have the freedom to spend it as you would like. The other person must give it to you first. Thus, anything in the hands of another is called paravasha, and the one who delivers himself or herself into the hands of someone else or something is called paravasha. For example, a person who is totally overpowered by emotion or who is completely controlled by another person is called paravasha. He or she has no freedom. So all those instances when we are reactive in our interactions with people and events around, we are in this frame of paravasha, because it is the situation or the person who controls your emotions, your reactions. But every time we respond to a situation, you have it. You have swavasha. You're not paravasha. Actually, each paragraph is so complete in itself. He's talked of different concepts here. So, Atmavasha or paravasha. Being a football of others' opinion is paravasha. Whereas having a say on what you want to do, irrespective of what others say, that is swavasha. Anyone wants to share? I mean, you can extrapolate this to include your inner self-talk as well. Swamiji coined the term inner tapes. The inner tapes, what do the inner tapes tell you? What is the self-talk that is going on? So this actually comes, this Atma-vasha and Paravasha, you can extrapolate it not just to the sense organs and sense objects, also to the mind. And then still discussing how one becomes a Sthita Prajna, one who is steadfast in the knowledge. Krishna said that first one's mind and senses have to be with oneself alone. See, one's mind and senses have to be with oneself alone. Practice of pratyahara. Even though a person is a viveki and has certain knowledge, there is still something to be taken care of because the rasa, the taste, the sense objects is still there. If these are not taken care of, the person will deliver himself or herself into the hands of raga dveshas.
This is such a Hariom, this is such a revolutionary statement. I mean, sometimes we do not react, but as you said, our inside voice, inside dialogues continue, and we may not react to the situation, but we keep that dvesha in mind for the person or for that situation. I was reading the Siddha Mahatma's life autobiography, and then they had, I mean, it must have been that Purva Janma Siddhis they have, that people who had insulted them, humiliated them, still they are compassionate towards them, like Buddha and other. They not only that, they give them the honor also in future. To the same person who had insulted him or humiliated him. So that raga and dvesha, when you are not reacting to the situation or to the person, not if that is enough, not enough. You have to have that compassion also, that you forgive and continue without that inner dialogues. And it is not for others' sake, it is for your own sake.
Very true. So it's all a process of inner cleansing, that antakarna shuddhi. That is why that's such a beautiful term coined, antakarna shuddhi. It is that shaucha that happens, that is required in the mind. That purity, that cleanliness.
Jai Gurudev, so the take is you see who is controlling you, is whether it is your small mind or people, situations, and things outside, and then move to the inner controller, the true inner controller. Is the takeaway from this?
Yeah. You stay with yourself. You
Hmm.
connect with that higher self. See, that
Hmm.
the way to get out of alcohol is to get connected to something more powerful, something more intoxicating.
Hmm.
So, so when you connect to the higher self, then
Hmm.
automatically all those that held you down, bound you down, so-called
Hmm.
situations, events, habits, cravings, raga,
Hmm.
dveshas, all of them lose their hold on you.
Hmm.
You're able to see. It's like when you have a broader vision, which is why Gurudev keeps saying, come from a broader perspective. When you look at life from the bigger context, then all these will fritter away. They lose their significance. So get the whole thing is about getting connected to the inner self, being with oneself, being complete. See, if the money is with you and the money is not in that the dress or say a piece of jewelry out in the market in the shop, then you have a say. But if you have already have the craving and the thing, the money is already there in that dress, in that whatever object you want to buy. You may not have bought it, but it's already gone. Because that is what occupies the whole upper story. I want, I want, I want. That constant I want goes on.
Okay. A little help on how to, I don't know whether to use the word practice, but how to implement compassion on yourself and on others. I don't know if it is related to this control part, but when you feel the freedom from whatever was controlling you, when you start feeling the freedom, you also start um, feeling that I'm a bit privileged or something like that. So, how do you get over that?
See, everybody has their own journey, right? And when you see that a person's mistake, usually when do we uh, have the opposite of compassion? When we encounter people making mistakes or doing things which are not to be done. So when you see that whatever is they're doing is out of ignorance, then automatically that compassion wells up.
Yeah, I understand that.
Mm.
Mm, how to um, how to live that compassion, or how to vibrate that? I don't know if those are the right words, but how to feel compassion first in yourself, that you are feeling compassionate for that mm, situation, or for that whatever happened, or whatever people, things, situations. uh, when you start feeling, you do feel compassionate, but you're not able to communicate that to the others, or should you bother even about communicating?
Compassion is actually an inner feeling, isn't it? It's an inner
Yes,
attitude.
yeah, understand that, I understand all that.
And I think your presence will communicate it. You don't need to say
Okay,
anything.
okay, fine, thank you.
Because it's your inner composure, right? Compassion.
Mhm.
Again, see all this daya, karuna, maitri, all of them, they help you stay with yourself. They're all human values that need to be cultivated and nurtured. So it is a matter of your inner composure.
Hmm.
If you just look at Buddha,
Yeah. Got
his,
it.
his, he oozes compassion, he oozes love. Same with Gurudev. You just one look at him. Why do people flock?
Hmm.
Because he oozes out compassion and love. And so I think the very presence speaks.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Sorry for digressing a little bit.
No, there's no sorry about it, Sumaji. Absolutely. It was in the line of what we were doing, anyways. And it's good, as and when we have these doubts, it's good to bring them up so that not just you, everybody else also will learn. Like, when we were talking about the inner tapes, Belaji brought up this beautiful thing about that compassion, the aspect of compassion. Even a person whom humiliates you, the Siddha is so compassionate towards. So there is that inner, the inner equipment is so clean, there is not even a blemish of impurity there. So that is where we need to go again and again. Cleanse. Which is why knowledge purifies the intellect. After having read all of this, which is why this verse is so beautiful in that, Krishna is such a great psychologist. He knows exactly what happens to people. He says, Yatataha api. Even a person who's making this effort, prasabham manaha, these indriyani pramati, these are so powerful that they just take him for a ride, him or her for a ride. They're so powerful. So, caution, treading this path with caution. And what is that? Shanaihi, Shanaihi Ruparamit. So, little by little, slowly, very gradually, we'll have to retrain the mind. So, if these are not taken care of, the person will deliver himself or herself into the hands of ragadveshas. The word yatataha in this verse means of the person Purusha who is making effort. One may make effort and be a fool, murkha, but this is not the person being discussed here. The person who makes effort is one who has viveka, who sees things clearly, vipaschit. Even this person's mind is not steady, but his or her mind is not the mind of an ordinary person, but one that is in the hands of the senses and fancies. He or she is not an armchair viveki. This person has a commitment and makes efforts in order to gain firmness, nishta, in the knowledge. This then is the kind of mind that is being discussed here. So what we're discussing is the mind of a person who is a yogi, who is actually not a yogi in the yogi in the sense, who is on the path, who is a sadhak, is a mumukshu. He wants to gain firmness, nishta in the knowledge, and is not just an armchair viveki. What does an armchair viveki mean? The one who just sits and gives a lot of sermons, but who's not making any effort. He knows here and there he or she has picked up some concepts and just verbalizes them. But there is no sustained effort. So we're not talking of an armchair Viveki here. We're talking of a person who is making clear effort in order to gain firmness. So that is the yatataha that is being described. The sense organs can be turbulent, vicious, and very powerful. They can really shake you up. In this verse, Krishna told Arjuna that the sense organs can even take the mind of a Viveki away, meaning that they can take charge of his or her mind. Why? Because rasa, the taste for sense objects, is still there inside the person. As long as the rasa is there, the sense organs will continue to take charge of the person's mind. As we saw earlier, the sense organs imply the various fancies that one has because he or she still has a value for self sense objects. Thus, when we say that the sense organs take the mind away, we mean that the rasas rob the person of his or her viveka. By the time the person realizes what has happened, the sense organs, meaning the rasas, have already taken him or her for a ride. The use of the word he in the verse indicates that all of this is very well known. The appetites that are there do not ask for any sanction. They forcefully, prasabham, take care of you. Therefore, what should you do? The only answer for these rasas is to gain steadiness, stairya, in this knowledge. In the next verse, Krishna told Arjuna that this is done by contemplating upon what is. So we'll see this tomorrow. Tani sarvani samyamya yukta asita matparaha vashe hi yasyendriyani tasya prajna pratishtita. Is may one who is endowed with discrimination, keeping all the sense organs in one's own hands, sit in contemplation of me. For the one who has all the sense organs under control, the knowledge is well established. We will go there tomorrow. So, any sharing? So, here, when we say rasas and sense organs, it is also the mind and all its self talk.
Yeah, I was also thinking about the memory, because the memory has all these impressions, no?
Correct.
And very easy to get carried away into what does Gurudev call it? Somebody who lives in the mind. Some word he uses. Kalpanak world. To live in that Kalpana world. So you need to take care of the memory as well, not only the sense organs, but the memory also. Cleansing of the memory.
So here, if you're looking at senses and sense organs, sense objects and the sense organs, through the eyes is what you see perfection. I'm talking of myself as being a perfectionist. So your eyes feed in the from the outside whatever you see, and they feed the images go to the mind, and then it decides, okay, this is perfect. You give a green tick, and if it is not perfect, you give a wrong, and that triggers a cascade of emotions and reactions. So that is where the self control needs to be there. So although you see something imperfect, if you can give that space for imperfection also, like how Gurudev and also Swamiji mentioned, keep a room for imperfections. Like we have a little dustbin in the corner of a room, you have a dustbin and just put all those imperfections in that. Let them not get into your system. Otherwise, because every time, and that has been the cascade of reactions that happens, the chain reaction that happens. You see something which is not according to your liking, then that triggers a reactive response within. We slowly have to train the mind to say, yes, fine, this is imperfect. I will accept the situation as it is. And let it not trigger that reactive response. Uh, reaction itself is a is I can't call it response, but the reaction. And
And
this
from
is
childhood, we are trained to get all the sums correct. So I have to get it right. That is another impression in the mind. If I'm wrong, then I'm not so good. So we only have all these concepts and impressions. So now I'm thinking we should, instead of saying, oh, that is correct, we should say, that's a nice way of doing this. Something like that. Instead of getting this right and wrong, like black and white in the head, we have to take care of our words also. Because words also create these impressions. Isn't it?
correct. So, on this path, the more you think you know, the more you do not know. So, I'm actually wondering at this because there is so much to be kind of cleansed inside. So, being a karma yogi, being a true mumukshu, is not a joke. You have
No,
to.
with Viveka, that you want to know what is right and wrong. But at the same time, it's okay to make a mistake and learn from it. I mean, if you made a mistake, oh, I have to get it right all the time. We most of the time we are hard on ourselves, but it's okay. I mean, you let go, and that mentality, then helps you to overcome that being perfect and things like that.
Yeah, that is true.
Yeah.
Like Gurudev says, just be a natural, simple, natural person. More spontaneous, childlike, and in the moment. Yeah, Sumaji, that you came here, I went through that Sunday thing, but what clip was available was just a little 3-minute clip. They were all Hindi questions. So if you still have that, if you do have that Sunday satsang, please send it across. You said you talked about spoke of Paradharma. Wasn't able to locate that. Okay.
I'll look for it. And if I get it, I'll share it.
No problem. So shall we stop here today?
It's my turn tomorrow to read, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
Okay. So you may want to go through this verse one more time before we go on to verse 61.
Okay.
Although we've read it twice over, it's good to repeat again, and then we can go to 61.
Sure.
Yeah. Om Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Tat Sat Shri Krishnarpanamastu. Jai Gurudev.
Meditation is accepting this moment, living every moment totally with depth. Let us keep our spine erect and body relaxed and eyes closed. Relax your shoulders. Keep a big smile on your face. You're sitting like the statue of Buddha, very serene and with a serene smile on your face. Relax your body. Let's take a deep breath in and breathe out. Become aware of your chest region, throat and chest region. If you notice some tension in the body, just let it be. Except those parts of the body where you feel a tension, the other parts are in comfort. Other parts are at peace. Become aware of that also. There are many good things about you and inside of you. Acknowledge them. They will never leave you. And the negative aspect you may see in you is never going to stay with you forever. They are all guests for some time. Let them be. Sit with the total acceptance of yourself the way you are at this very moment. Total acceptance of what is now here will lead us to deeper meditation. Let go of all the efforts. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Let go of all your effort and be in this emptiness. And slowly and gradually become aware of body and surroundings. And you may gently open your eyes.